Now, let's say you have gone through the 3 days and you have focused on your question or problem. I want to have a job. I want to have a new job. I want to study, or which college to apply, or shall I retire? Questions are all over. But let's say you have taken those steps. For 3 nights, you have focused on that question before you going to sleep, asking you guides if you're spiritual for help and to give you that answer. And if you're more scientifically and more physically, well, physical scientist inclined, you just allow for your brain to continue processing that cognitive question there during the night. And let's say on the next morning or the second or the third, you do get an idea. And mind you, some of those ideas are, so for me, they usually have 6 attributes, and it's easy to spot. You don't need all 6, but you should get a pretty handful of those 6 attributes. First of all, they're straight to the point, okay? So you have an answer and they give you that answer. Even when it looks surprising, I mean, second, they're gonna be original. So sometimes like, wow, why did I not think about that? A lot of times they're humorous, but it doesn't have to be, especially if you're trying to look for a new job or what you want to do with your life. But it could be some light. If it's not humorous, it's gonna feel lighter. It's also simple. It's not like go there and do this and get on a headstand and talking with 10 other people simultaneously and while you're cooking your breakfast. None of that. It's going to be simple. Oh, I'm forgetting the other 2. But anyway, they went into my book, and I'll put the book and I'll put those 6 attributes in the links here. But the point is, they're simple, they're original, they're unexpected, they do bring some resolution. I like the humor or the lightness of the thing. So that is, I actually call this the spirit signature. That's how I know that I have gotten that answer, and it's truly. And that is the spiritual aspect of it. If you want a more conventional explanation or approach, although both are completely consistent with each other. I love how physics and metaphysics are really one. I have actually trouble splitting and having boundaries. So this is physics and this is metaphysics, this is material, this is spirit. It's really like many gradations, but it's really one. So, but anyway, a little bit more conventional criteria. And I learned this from an old professor from my graduate school, which was the Ohio State University. There was this professor called Professor Wilkins, who had this one-pagers on his web. That was back in old-fashioned days when we used to write HTML code for our websites. And he was a big proponent of having one-page sites. There was no endless scrolling. He said the whole purpose of the website was to hyperlink across one pages, not many pages. That was his way. But anyway, the point is, one of his one pagers was, how do you know that once you have made the decision, how do you know that that decision is correct? And mind you, he too said, sleep on your decisions. Do not let anybody pressure you. There are no situations in which you have to make your decision now in the next 5 seconds or else. Anybody who does that to you is actually playing a con game, at least in my experience. And I'm in my 50s right now. Not a single time I have been in a situation where, because I didn't snap and made a decision in the first 5 seconds, I missed. However, sometimes I did fall for that game and I ended up regretting it. So you can say that's my only experience. This is only my experience. But there's the Professor Wilkins, who also said, don't let people pressure you. Especially that one pager was about how you find jobs and how you make your decisions and how you select between the best job for you. So that comes from someone completely conventional there. I don't think Professor Wilkins had anything to do with the spiritual metaphysical studies whatsoever. But even he said, sleep on it, sit on it. Couple of days. You should always have a couple of days, 3 days. And here's his criteria. How do you know his decision, the decision that you have made is correct? The decision that is correct begins to feel correct all the time in more ways than you can see. Every time you look around, oh my goodness, I didn't see this. How did I know? Oh wow, it gets even better. The decisions that do not give you that sense of resolution and peace and clarity. The decisions that are not correct, the decisions like, there's so many benefits and I can work with this. And this is a great opportunity. Anytime when you go into this explanation, it means that subconsciously or your higher self knows, and you're feeling that there's something better there out for you, and you're just trying to convince yourself. So there's not much I can say to convince you. I think the first time when you recognize it, you'll know what it is. But the correct decision always feels right. There's some innate rightness. And you can wait 10 minutes and it feels even more right. You can sleep on it and you wake up as like, wow, I saw even like 3 more reasons why this is a better decision. So it gets easier and better and more natural. And in the end, according to Professor Wilkins, it will feel very quickly. You don't have to wait weeks. Very quickly, within half a day, that correct decision, it will feel as if it's the only decision that you could have made anyway. Once you hit that state, you know you have made the correct decision. Go for it.